We are kicking off today with CM Punk, who is known for pushing the envelope in wrestling, but this week the best in the world had fans talking for a very different reason. On his Instagram stories, Punk shared a video inadvertently revealing rehearsals for the match between the Wyatt Six and the Final Testament on this week's Raw. Eagle-eyed fans spotted a monitor in the background of the video, which was a behind-the-scenes look at Punk's day, and the monitor showed the two groups running through the moves. The Wyatt Six and the Final Testament have been feuding for weeks, building to this week's 8-man tag match, which saw interference by Scarlett and the surprise return of Paul Ellering. The match ended with Karrion Kross hitting the final prayer on Uncle Howdy for the win, and Punk's Instagram mishap is something that fans have enjoyed dissecting. Once again, even the most innocent of posts can create speculation, and whether you see it as a harmless peek behind the curtain or shattering kayfabe, Punk continues to have folks talking. Raw also saw CM Punk and Seth Rollins trade barbs, exciting fans who are eager to finally see the pair face off in a match, something teased since Punk's return to WWE. Now, Chris Featherstone, who has a record for breaking stories, reports that Punk vs. Rollins has been confirmed within WWE, with the match set to be on Raw's debut on Netflix. The match has been over a year in the making and was supposed to be for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 40 before Punk's unfortunate injury. As you'd expect, this will be one of the marquee matches for Raw's Netflix debut on January 6th and will mark Punk's first match on Raw since January 2014. After so much build, hopefully this match will deliver what fans are expecting, and fans can expect Rollins and Punk to hold nothing back when they finally face off next month. At Survivor Series, Bronson Reed suffered a broken ankle, and now the former North American champion is in Birmingham, Alabama to undergo surgery. Birmingham is where many WWE superstars, including Triple H, John Cena, and Cody Rhodes, have gone under the knife, and given this surgery, fans shouldn't expect Reed back soon. PW Insider reports that there's no timeline for when he'll be back, but WWE insiders believe it'll at least be several months, in effect ruling him out of WrestleMania 41. This is certainly a setback for Reed, who has been one of the most pushed stars in recent months, and we're wishing the Australian a full and speedy recovery. Over to NXT, and Giulia was around to address the NXT universe, fresh off of her Iron Survivor Challenge win at Deadline, but her celebration was short-lived. Cora, Jade, and NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez arrived, and before Jade attacked, she revealed that Giulia's ally Stephanie Vaquer had been attacked backstage. Jade took credit for the ambush and declared her dominance, and later on, WWE hinted that Perez may have had something to do with the attack as well. Fortunately, Giulia wasn't entirely alone, as Kelani Jordan stormed to the ring to even the odds, forcing the NXT Women's Champion and her best friend to retreat. The involvement of Jordan adds a new layer to this heated rivalry, and WWE shared several clips online, including Giulia's celebration being interrupted and the aftermath of the Vaquer attack. Vaquer's condition remains unclear at this time, leaving fans to speculate on what this will mean for NXT going forward and how Giulia will cope without her closest ally. Speaking of the beautiful madness, she is still building confidence with a new language, but is impressing every time she's given the mic, as her charisma is proving infectious. The task over the next month is whether NXT can sell that Perez can survive against Giulia in their upcoming rematch before Giulia takes her down, as many expect. Jordan helping Giulia is an interesting choice given the conflicted feelings coming out of their match a few weeks back, which some at the time saw as a tease of a heel turn. If Jordan does turn, it could give Giulia more rivals in 2025, and throwing the NXT Women's title into the mix would only elevate this feud. What's your take on Giulia getting another shot against Perez? And what do you make of the attack on Vaquer? Could this lead to a new alliance or a bigger feud? Sound off in the comments. Lexis King was on NXT to request another shot at the Heritage Cup after previously coming up short against Charlie Dempsey despite having William Regal in his corner. Dempsey spoke of the No Quarter Catch Crew's performances, which seemed odd given that the team lost all the matches they were part of at last weekend's Deadline. OTM interrupted to talk some smack, with Jada Parker threatening to knock out Ren Sinclair, so fans can expect to see more from these two factions going forward. Now, this week's Raw saw plenty of important segments, including The New Day trying and failing to justify themselves, and Seth Rollins' promo about his issues with CM Punk. According to Fightful Select, Ben Sicoscio was responsible for writing the promo for The New Day, while Alexandra Williams wrote the segment for Seth Rollins. Gunther's role on the show was co-written by Chad Barbash and Brian Yand, as Der Ring General will now face both Finn Balor and Damian Priest at Saturday night's main event. WWE did a lot with this week's go-home edition of Raw, and we'll have to see how next week's show deals with the fallout of the upcoming NBC event. We've got Braun Strowman news now, as it's been over 2 months since fans last saw him compete on WWE TV, but the monster among men made a surprising appearance recently. Strowman was back in the ring last weekend, but not as a wrestler and not for WWE, as he was the special guest referee for a match at GLCW Blizzard Brawl. Braun was granted special permission by Triple H to work the event, and the match saw the newest Rockers face off against Damien Sandow and Santino Marella. The newest Rockers consists of Cal Hero and Al Snow, the latter of whom was briefly a Rocker, while Marty Jannetty managed the team from ringside. Santino and Sandow had fellow WWE alum Doug Basham in their corner, and in the end, it was the newest Rockers who retained their GLCW Tag Team Championships. Braun is certainly a referee you don't want to get on the wrong side of, and his role only further shows WWE's willingness to let its talent work with other promotions. This year, Drew McIntyre has been on one of the best runs of his career, including a world title program at WrestleMania 40, which saw him win the gold, only to lose it moments later. Even after this defeat, McIntyre remained on Raw and was often seen wearing black arm sleeves during matches, but these weren't just a fashion choice. Sitting down with KWCH 12 Morning News, McIntyre shared that at the time he was dealing with an arm injury and couldn't help but take a dig at the rest of the roster. He said, "There I am wearing that thing on my right arm. I had a broken arm during that time, but unlike the rest of the colleagues that I work with, the guys that I work with are not very tough. I kept the broken arm under wraps. I didn't tell anybody, and I fought right through it. Most of these guys cry if they get a hangnail." McIntyre would eventually take a break following October's Bad Blood event, and in the same interview shared that his break wasn't just to heal his body. He explained, "I suffered a family loss as well, so I went back to Scotland to deal with that and reevaluate my priorities and realized that I probably have given a bit too much to my profession, to my colleagues, and not enough to my family." Mere days before facing CM Punk at Bad Blood, McIntyre's aunt passed away, so Drew opted to take a long overdue break from WWE to be with those who needed him. Now McIntyre is back and is ready to reestablish himself again, and what do you make of McIntyre working hurt earlier this year? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Earlier this month, WWE announced its new show, WWE Legends and Future Greats, which will see young prospects be mentored by legendary names from the Squared Circle. The show will be a part of A&E and debut in early 2025, and it's been confirmed that Booker T, Mickie James, Bubba Ray Dudley, and The Undertaker will be involved. On his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker gave a glimpse into how the competition will work, which fans have compared to the show Tough Enough. He said, "It's going to be a system to who's going to come out at the end of the day with the best team, who's going to put together the best team, who's going to teach their team the most about this business in a limited amount of time. One thing about this business also, it's a very, very selfish business, but it's a very selfless business at the same time. Even though we want to win, we know it takes more than us to win." Later on, Booker added that fans will get to see plenty from behind the scenes in a rare backstage look at how WWE operates. He said, "It's going to let the fans come behind the curtain just a little bit and see not just what it's like behind the curtain, but how hard it is to be behind the curtain, how stressful it is to be behind the curtain, how competition drives you or bends you or sometimes breaks you." There's still a lot of questions about WWE LFG, but they should be answered in due time, and we already know some of the young prospects who will be a part of the show. Last night, WWE filmed content for WWE LFG, including a match between Elijah Holyfield, the son of boxing legend Evander Holyfield. The match was Elijah's first for WWE and saw him take on Anthony Luke, a former defensive lineman for San Diego State University, who is also the boyfriend of Maxine Dupree. Dupree has said in the past that her boyfriend's love for wrestling was part of the reason she started watching, so now the couple's relationship with WWE has come full circle. As for who else is a part of WWE LFG, time will tell, but the company isn't holding back with its new show that is set to hit our screens early next year. Back to NXT as Javon Evans overcame multiple underhanded tactics from Wes Lee before hitting the middle of the road to get his second win over Lee. One attempt by Lee saw him put his feet on the ropes during a pinfall attempt, and in something of a rarity, the referee caught this attempt to cheat. This match was set up at Deadline, where both men lost in the Iron Survivor Challenge as they got into a physical brawl afterward when Evans seemed to be in good spirits despite the loss. That infuriated Wes, causing the brawl and setting up this match, and after losing last night, Lee couldn't even stand up straight due to the hard-hitting bout. The pair had previously met at NXT in the ECW arena, where the young OG also won, but these are the pair's only 2 matches, despite having feuded for months. At this point, it's hard to take Lee as a serious threat to Evans, perhaps because Wes had so much momentum going his way after turning heel on the Rascals. Instead of thriving though, Wes has become an afterthought and will likely only have the chance to get back to where he should be once he parts NXT. As for the match, it was strong, though never hit the heights fans expected from 2 of NXT's most exciting performers, with a particularly slow final stretch that only hurt the match. Even with the NXT North American Championship on the line, Ethan Page did not look himself and fell to a spinebuster by Tony D'Angelo that saw the Don retain the gold. Before the match, Tony had taken pity on Ethan and offered him a title shot, and though reluctant at first, seeing the title as a step down, he later accepted, stating, "If I can't beat the North American champion, my career is pretty much over. I need this, please." This wasn't the best match these two could have, but it expertly sold the story that Page's confidence has been broken and he's not in the right headspace. D'Angelo getting a win over a former NXT champion further solidifies his own title reign, though it's odd that fans are seemingly supposed to feel sorry for the all-ego star. Given how much success Page has had in such a short time, it's a sharp turn for the character, though Page is a good enough actor to make it work. Whatever Page does next, it'll be interesting, as he's clearly invested in making his appearances count as part of this new, down-on-his-luck take on his character. But what do you think's next for Ethan Page? What have you made to this change of character so far? Let us know down in the comments. Giulia was furious exiting the trainer's room where Stephanie Vaquer was still recovering, and Kelani Jordan wanted her to channel that anger into focus on winning the main event. Even before the match began, the faces were on the back foot as Giulia was attacked during her entrance by Roxanne, Perez, and Cora Jade, forcing Jordan to arrive early to make the save. In the women's tag match teased earlier in the night, Perez planted Jordan with pop rocks outside the ring, but Giulia and the Prodigy brawled to the back. This allowed for Jade to hit Jaded on Jordan for the win, but Cora was attacked by Stephanie Vaquer, who snapped her kendo stick before running into the crowd. This was a solid main event of the show that hinted at greater things to come when Perez and Giulia face off again, with their portion of this match being the highlight. Jordan and Jade played their roles well, and Jade getting the win in the main event was much needed to build her credibility for her budding feud against Vaquer. At this time, the face-heel battle lines have been drawn simply, though one can't count out Jordan turning heel after being abandoned by her own partner in this match. Fresh off his Iron Survivor Challenge win, Oba Femi had the crowd behind him, but as he called out Trick Williams, who arrived with confidence, the fans backed the NXT champion. The ruler said that he'd allow the whoop that trick era, but would now take the NXT title with ease, but Eddie Thorpe interrupted to call out Femi for attacking him. Femi refused to take credit for the attack, and Williams got matters back on to the NXT title match at New Year's Evil, but Thorpe demanded a title shot for all the injustice he's faced. Trick agreed to a match for next week before planting Thorpe with a punch to end the messy segment, thanks to Thorpe being shoehorned into things. Beyond a few cutting lines from Femi about Trick, this was more about Thorpe and his growing heel turn, who was able to hit a nerve with the champion and smirked when he got his way. Later in the night, Thorpe revealed he'd faked his own attack and had played the victim to get a one-on-one title shot, a great reveal that shows Thorpe's descent into villainy. If fans didn't already loathe him, they will now after he conned his way into a title match, albeit one he's certain to lose against Williams. Femi vs. Trick is the match people are ready to see, and there's still time left for the pair to share the mic before New Year's Evil. When Jacy Jayne and Jasmine Nix faced Gigi Dolin and Tatum Paxley, Fallon Henley made herself known, leaving Paxley isolated, and a discus punch scored the win for Fatal Influence. The faction attacked Paxley and Dolin post-match until Shotzi evened the odds, returning after suffering an ACL tear during an NXT TV taping in February. Shotzi's injury came when she attempted her signature apron DDT, and all her hard work recovering paid off as she made an impactful return after this match. The match was barely a match at just 3 minutes, but did set up an interesting twist, and having Paxley, Dolin, and Shotzi as a trio of misfits battling the Mean Girls will be fun. Hopefully both Dolin and Shotzi are back on their best and ready to reestablish themselves in NXT after some serious setbacks. In tag team action, Tyreek Igwe tried to keep the aggression up, but a big boss man slam from Hank Walker ensured that Tyson Dupont was isolated. Hank and Tank Ledger finished things off with a collision on Dupont, and after the match, Igwe once again refused to shake hands with the popular tag team. NXT's tag team division may have Fraxium as its champions, but the division is focused on Hank and Tank, who have come a long way in their time as a duo. The pair keep the energy high in their matches, as we saw this week when they faced Dupont and Igwe, who showed why they're only starting to get TV time. The pair were slower and pretty basic when it came to offense, with the most interesting thing about them being Igwe leaning heel while Dupont remains a face. It's the pair's first chance to tell a real story in NXT that could get them over, but they have a long way to go before they're anywhere close to being in the position of Hank and Tank. In a vignette, Josh Briggs spoke about his N1 victory and his experience in the contest, as well as his growing friendship with Yoshiki Inamura. Inamura promised chaos in NXT, and fans can expect these two to be teaming together soon enough, going by this segment. Former NFL star Ryan Leaf was on NXT to speak with Lexis King, and the pair discussed King trying to be better and leave his heel ways behind. Now a broadcaster for the CW, Leaf's appearance highlights NXT's strong ties with the network, and perhaps we'll see more CW names pop up in the future. And that was NXT, and coming out of 2 title challengers being created at Deadline, this week's show built on Giulia's rising star and teased the threat Oba Femi poses to Trick Williams. Eddy Thorpe did well and could find himself rising up the car if his upcoming title match impresses, while Fatal Influence has found themselves facing a unified front of fan favorites. Ethan Page has lost his smile, while Javon Evans continues to build himself as a future star on a night where the action was solid rather than outstanding. One should remember that several superstars here had come out of traveling and lengthy PLE matches, which will have affected their in-ring work to some degree. The show was never going to rival Deadline when it comes to in-ring excellence, but it did well building the key angles ahead of NXT New Year's Evil. Now Rikishi isn't mincing words when it comes to Nia Jax's chair shots at Survivor Series. Speaking on his Off the Top Rope podcast, the WWE Hall of Famer didn't hold back, labeling her swings as lackluster and sparking a flurry of reaction from fans buzzing over his candid critique. "As a wrestler, I'll tell you what, as a Samoan, you gotta swing that damn thing," Rikishi said, questioning whether Jax was ever properly trained on how to deliver a convincing chair shot during her WWE developmental days. "It almost looked like a love tap," he added. "I don't feel like she wanted to swing the chair, but she didn't want to hurt somebody." While he admitted slow-motion replays might have made the moment look worse, Rikishi doubled down on his belief that Jax's technique fell short. Rikishi even had some advice for Jax. "Nia, if you're listening, next time you grab that chair, it's okay. Swing that damn thing like Babe Ruth. I want you to knock it out of the park. And if anybody complains, well, this is the game we're in. If you can't take a chair shot, you're in the wrong business." Despite his sharp critique, Rikishi showed a more understanding side, acknowledging that emotions may have played a role in Jax's performance. "Who knows the emotion? Is that a friend? What I'm saying is, you gotta put that out from your head when you're performing." Balancing his tough love with a nod to in-ring safety, Rikishi noted, "If I hit you with a chair, I'm gonna hit you with it, but it doesn't mean I'm mad at you. We gotta protect what we've got." To top it off, Rikishi threw in a lighthearted challenge. "You come to Knox Pro, let me show you how to swing the chair the right way. Keep practicing." Whether you love her or hate her, Nia Jax has a knack for stirring up conversation in the wrestling world. But what's your take on Rikishi's critique? Should wrestlers prioritize safety or strive for realism in moments like these? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, Cody Rhodes has a legion of loyal fans, many of them kids, who will be behind the American Nightmare when he faces Kevin Owens this Saturday. Speaking with Muscleman Malcolm, Owens continued to share his issues with Rhodes, who he said is promoting an unhealthy habit by bleaching his hair. Owens said he sees kids arrive to WWE events with bleached hair like their hero, and said the chemicals harm the kids and that parents are doing this to try and get a photo with Rhodes. This is certainly a bold claim by Owens, but do you think Rhodes is promoting an unhealthy habit, or is Owens stretching the truth? Let us know below. We've got Mercedes Moné news now, as the New Japan Strong Women's Champion will be putting the title on the line at Strong Style Evolved on December 15th. Moné will defend her title against Hazuki at the show, and do you see the CEO surviving, or will a new champion emerge? Share your predictions below. And we're ending with Alpha Academy, who are on the hunt for new recruits, with a hilarious promotional video promising an all-beef dinner for Otis for those who join. Dance lessons from Akira Tozawa were also promised, though when Otis claimed recruits would receive unlimited selfies with Maxine Dupree, she made clear she never agreed to that. The Alpha Academy once again flexed its comedic muscles with this recruitment video, and do you think you're Alpha Academy material? Let us know in the comment section below.